So this is going to be a little bit of a different video. I was thinking about how I could plan for D2 Resurrected, and one of the things that I really don't always remember, I have a good idea, but not a great idea of which charms to actually pick up and keep. Because when you start the game, you want to pick up every charm, and then before you know it, your inventory gets super full, and then you're asking price checks and all this kind of stuff. So I figured I'd make a video for my refresher, as well as maybe help any new players as to what kind of small charms are worth picking up in Diablo 2. So prices vary from hardcore to ladder and all this kind of stuff. So generally, it's based on number of high runes or percentage of a high rune for value. In this case, being that there's so many different variables, I just did it based on value of, in general, which charms will be more valuable than others, and then you can kind of just compare once you have the price of one, and then compare that price to the other charms to give you like a base value for what you think your charm is worth. Because starting in the game, it's going to be very, very difficult to see how many high runes equal a all resist MF charm with 7% magic find and all resist. So that's just the intro here, and these are my thoughts. Feel free to let me know your questions or comments below. But getting started, what I did was make a value score from 0 to 100, 100 being the most valuable charm. And I have the Annulus or the Annie separate, the unique charm. So these are just magic small charms in this spreadsheet here. So the main ones you want to look for, I mean, you don't want to go, if you don't want to go through all these, this whole list. All resist, attack rating, life, max damage, and magic find, I think are the biggest ones. From playing single player, what I found faster on walk, especially if you don't have teleport, is very, very important as well to avoid enemies, as well as, just go through the levels more quickly. So yeah, just going down the line here, I made different tiers. So first tier here, we have a all res 20 life small charm, 20 to life, 20 to attack rating, and 3 max damage, a 3 20 20. And these values could differ here or there, but I feel like this is like the top tier of item. Now I could just delete this one because it's the same. But these are the three, in my opinion. Life plus any like lightning or fire elemental damage, 10 to 29, is very high value. Anything with 20 life and then any of these modifiers here are going to give you some good value. Going down the list to tier 2, we have all res gold, all res MF, life all res again. And these are just scales of the amount of life you can get. And one of the things, like a 20 life, 5 all resist, is like, you can see it's like a little bit better than the second tier here, but people love perfect items. So if you have something that's like a 3 max, 3 damage, 20 to life, 20 attack rating small charm, it's so much better than, let's say, one that you get that's like this one, max AR life, and like 18 to 19. It's crazy because people just love perfect items. Personally, I don't see I just want the best stats that I can get. I mean, I'd go with the cheaper option for sure, even if it's just one life difference. I mean, it doesn't matter to me. But people will pay premium price for perfect items. They just love the perfect stats. And that goes for any items, not just small charms. So going down the list here, all res gold, all res MF, life all res, and I don't really know about the gold find. I mean, people have valued them on different sites pretty high. Gold's not that valuable in Diablo 2, so I mean, if you find a specific person that has like they want to maximize their gold find character, then you might be able to get this value for it. But most people won't pay, in my opinion, for the gold find. But they do want the magic find, they do want the all resist, and they do want life, as well as attack rating. So going down the list here, and this is where one of the things that I kind of forget too, where there's lower level dueling. So anything I put here in parentheses, required level less than 30, people like to duel with low level characters. So if you find a charm that's like, let's say a 3 15 20, and you don't think it's that as good as like a 3 20 20, people are still willing to pay for it because 32020 has a higher level requirement, and this one here has a low level requirement, and it's still a solid item, especially for a low level character. So keep that in mind too. If you find any stats in general, I know I'm not going to remember every one of these individual things, but if you just remember like all res, attack rating, life, max damage, and magic find, um, then you should be pretty good. And especially if you're thinking of dropping something, check the level requirement. If it has these decent stats and they're um, in these ranges like 14, 15, 16 life, uh, people are willing to pay for low level dueling. You might have a little bit of a difficult time finding them, um, but keep them because they'll be valuable. People will look for them. Um, Going down the list here, these are just lower tiers of what I've discussed above. I mean, people, this is where you start to get the faster hit recovery that people need. Actually, mostly, if not all characters. I mean, if you're ranged, maybe you don't need it as much, but faster hit recovery will save you from dying, especially in hardcore. Um, and if you're new, faster hit recovery just pretty much what it says. You get hit from a monster, and look, if you don't have any, it's extremely slow to recover in this game. So that's why you need this stat to recover quick and get away, either teleport or run away from the enemy. It also keeps your damage up because if you're a melee character, it's gonna stop you from dealing damage and lifesteal, and it'll kill you much quicker. So it increases your survivability. And then just going down the line here, same thing. Max attack rating, faster hit recovery, max damage, attack rating, faster run walk, and if you just have an idea of like these stats up here, res with life, I mean, this is pretty good charm too. You get, even though it's only one resistance, not all, you're looking at 20, which is perfect on life, and then 11 to any resistance. And that will help you round out if you're low on, like, let's say lightning or cold or fire resist. This will help your character as well. So you could use these charms, obviously, but they're also valuable to other players. So you know which ones to sell to a vendor and which ones to actually keep in hopes of trading later on, or just using for your own alts. So as we get further down, you still have these lower level dueling, and even less than level 18, if it's low, let's say 12 AR, 15 life, these are still valuable because there's tiers of low level dueling, which might be, I think it's like 30, 23, 18. But just in general, if you see a charm and it has a low level requirement, it has some of these stats and they're decent, I would just keep them. And then you can get the more detailed value of it later, depending on or if you're playing D2, your server. But D2 Resurrected is one big server now. So if you're playing hardcore or softcore, obviously hardcore is probably going to be a little bit more because it's harder to find. But yeah, just keep that in mind. I'm not sure if they do low level dueling hardcore. That's I'm not sure. But anyway, so going down the list here, the lower tier of like 5, you get the low amount of life, max damage, magic find, and resist. I mean, anything with 7% magic find is still solid, especially if it has another one of these affixes on it, strength, dexterity, and even life and defense. It's towards like the last tier here, but it's still somewhat useful for melee characters. But generally, the ones I highlighted are most all res, attack rating, life, max damage, magic find, and then finally down here you're kind of like your plain charms, which are still valuable but not that valuable. But you want to keep them. You'll be able to trade them for something at least. 20 to life with no extra, 5 to all resist, life and mana, all res and dexterity, all res and strength. And while the value scores are not great here, they still will add bonuses to your character that are beneficial. And you'll probably have a hard time trading for them, but they'll be good to keep for your not only your main character but for your alts when you start leveling them up. So that is all the magic type charms you should probably keep, and these are the 14 stats that you should look out for. All attributes and XP. These are for the anti-charm, the unique charm you get from D-clone. So most people who have analysis know that 2010, a perfect one, is going to be worth. This is, I just checked like prices, like USD wise, like D2 third party stores are selling for, just to get an idea. But you can see here, like this one is like so much more than, like, let's say one that's 2018 10. Like people just love perfect items. So this is just a general idea of where the values of this charm fall. By the time you guys get one of these, you'll probably have a good idea of what they're worth anyway. So I won't go into too much detail of this charm. It's more so for when you level up your characters, which charms to keep, which charms you don't really need. And yeah, that's just a general overview. It's more so for myself to remember when I play D2R. But yeah, now I know kind of what to be on the lookout for, what to save, and I could always use this spreadsheet back as like a reference as to what I should keep. And then I'll look in the trade chat and see what the current values of some of them are, and then I could kind of overall project what everything else might be worth, depending on the state of the game. Okay, so that's it. Let me know if I missed anything, if there's any charms that you think or affixes that you think are still valuable that I didn't have on here. Again, these are the ones I highlighted in blue and the main ones, but that's about it. So thanks for watching, and let me know if you have any questions or comments below.